yo. I done watched that game, and I got some thoughts. Some you may have already heard, some may be new. Well, it's Tuesday. It's Tuesday, y'all. And as we sit here 4-2, I stopped by to tell you, I sit here unsatisfied. Rich, what's going on, Rich? I stopped by here to tell you how unsatisfied that I am regarding that win. Now, I'm going to be candid with you guys. We were supposed to beat the Chargers. Now, you're going to hear that the Chargers is a good team. Let me tell you something about the Chargers. The Chargers have a whole bunch of talented individuals, but they're not a good team. But they have a whole lot of talented individuals. So a game like that is not surprising because of their talented individuals, but you're supposed to beat the Chargers, especially if you were a team like the Dallas Cowboys. I just have to be candid with you guys. So we're going to get into this. I wrote down some notes regarding some of our players. I'm going to reiterate some things that I have said before and I have seen once again. And it's a frustrating thing because even though it may not be affecting us right now too deep because we're 4-2, but these habits that are being practiced and some of these players that we have right now, as they continue to go ahead, it's going to hurt you in situations that you want. See, right now, say for instance, if this team doesn't do anything in a trade deadline, which I will hope that that doesn't happen, you have to hope that in the playoffs, you have a good matchup all throughout the playoffs. Because right now, you're not built to go ahead and handle teams such as San Francisco. And there's going to be teams not on San Francisco level as far as what they bring to the table, but play in a similar physical fashion, right? Detroit is probably going to be there, right? Seattle, even though they're not on our level, but Seattle brings a type of physicality, especially with the running backs, especially with what they want to do, that can hurt you in the long run. So there's some teams out there that we have on a schedule that's going to play a part in bringing a level of physicality to the table. And if we have the current makeup of the team right now, it's going to be a long day. Now, we might be able to pull out a couple of them wins maybe, but we're going to be left unsatisfied, as some of y'all may be today. Now, I want to get into something before I get into the game. So, I just spoke about the trade deadline. And one thing that I'm seeing that probably needs to be addressed, which Trayvon Diggs had let the hole in, is cornerback. I think that this team should go out, don't need to spend too much, but give them an outside quarterback that they can play with for more than just this year. Because Gilmore is like the Patrick Peterson for this team. He's like Patrick Peterson, who he was to the Vikings, and he's like Patrick Peterson, who he is now to the Steelers, right? Lost a couple steps, but bring something to the locker room. Now, I'm not telling you that we should get rid of Gilmore, because I believe that Gilmore is essential to this locker room as far as with these DBs and being able to go ahead and help somebody like Bland, be able to maybe go ahead and help somebody like Trayvon Diggs, right? So I believe that somebody like him is good for this team, and I believe that he should still get playing time. but to rely on him the way that we do, and knowing that the pieces that we have now, if anybody was to get banged up, you in a world of trouble. I think that this team needs to address that situation, unless they thinking that that rookie that we drafted, unless they like, no, we don't need to draft one because we just drafted Eric, right? Unless they think that if they think the rookie is there, then okay, cool, you know. But I think that when it's all said and done, I think they should probably address that, because one, Trayvon Diggs is coming off an injury that it may take him a little bit, even when he does come back at the beginning of the year, to kind of get back in his groove, right? So we know how sometimes the ACL, sometimes they come back cool, and sometimes it takes them a long time. So we got to also keep that in mind when we do that. And this cornerback room probably is going to look a lot different next year. So I would say that this team should have an eye out on the cornerback position, specifically the outside, right? I think, like, we don't even need to get flashy. Like, I've heard Patrick Surtain we don't even need nothing like that. We just need somebody that can go ahead and be decent on the outside, be solid on the outside. That's all. It shouldn't take a lot of resources to acquire that. Also, linebacker. I like the move of Rashaan Evans. That's the type of linebacker we need. But I also think that they should go ahead and probably address that some more. Look, Damone Clark, I'm not saying that that's in his DNA, but it's in his DNA right now. His DNA right now, Damone Clark is a gentle linebacker. I'm looking at him. I looked at the replay. Damone Clark is a gentle linebacker. He may have talent, and it's crazy because what I'm seeing now, I didn't see that in LSU. So I think that the linebacker coach, and I think that Leighton Vander Esch is kind of rubbing off on him in the wrong way in that department, as far as what he needs to bring. And I think somebody that comes with the mindset of, yo, you need to come and bring the boom. I think that will go ahead and help Damone Clark right now. So I think a change of scenery as far as coach and who is around him, because y'all know how it is when you're around something, you kind of take on that culture. So if you're around physicality, it's going to go ahead and entice you to be more physical. And I think that will be the all in all help to go ahead and address that Damone Clark. But right now, it's not looking too good. Right now, at linebacker, like I said, we got Rashaan Evans, and I love it. But now look, what is it going to be? Does Dan Quinn, is he going to keep that formula of what he did with Micah yesterday, or is he going to go back, or hope to want to go back to playing him the way that he did the first month of the season? That's the big question. Because I personally, y'all know I've been for this. I would like to see Micah more at linebacker. Now, I think that last night is one of the best, is one of Dan Quinn's better games as far as in how he utilized Micah Parsons. I seen Micah everywhere. 3-tech, DN, linebacker, rushing over at linebacker, rushing over the middle. That's how you need to use him. So that's that, and I think that's how you get the most out of him, right? Sometimes it may be a game where you might need to rush Micah more on the inside, right? So I think that Dan Quinn needs to go ahead and evolve in that if we're going to go ahead and get the most out of Micah, because rushing Micah as a all-in-all DN, and I'm going to get in on Micah too, because I got something against him that I need to go ahead and spit out to the public again. But Micah, just rushing Micah on the outside, even if he got barbecue chicken on the on one side, that's still not him. That's still not him. So so if Dan Quinn can kind of emulate some of how he did this game, I think this team will be better, and play him more at linebacker. Then I think you might not be able to, you might can get away with it if Rashaan Evans is your plan. But I think linebacker needs to be addressed regardless, because okay, Leighton might come back, but who's to say that he might come back, right? Because that neck is give him problems every year. So you can't go ahead and put all your eggs in one basket over somebody that just off of one given setback or one given hit, it could be over, right? So they might need to think about. And then Damone Clark, he's not playing the way that we would want him to play right now. And then you got Marquise Bell. Look, I like him. He's aggressive, but he's just small, right? So a game like yesterday was perfect for Marquise Bell. The team ain't physical, and the team ain't physical. So the team want to go ahead and go side to side. So that was perfect for area. That's why you see they didn't use Eckler like that. They couldn't run the ball because they're not a physical team. So this was perfect for Marquise Bell, right? So and I believe with the D line, I believe that uh you know unless you want to add something more to the interior, which I would kind of recommend. We cool. We cool at the end. We cool, right? It is what it is right there, right? Unless you just get up more of an upgrade in the inside and get another beefy body, or or shoot, get a stud there, then yeah, it's cool. We can get away with that, right? We solid there, right? Uh, Running back, that needs to be addressed. Uh, it's like this: do you trust Rico Dowdle? Because if so, he needs to get the ball more. If not, then you need to go get a running back, y'all. We do. So, how depends on how they feel about Rico. Then they need to go get one. And there's some out there that cost for cheap that I believe that'll go ahead and help this team. Um, Seeing how the bar was set for the running back with Taylor, I think you can get somebody like Jacobs. We mentioned that. I think you can get somebody like Williams over there at the Broncos, right? I think you can get some ground and pound type running backs for cheap that'll really help the identity of this offense and bring a level of physicality, because I'm also going to bring something to your attention in a minute too regarding that offense. Trey Gallup and get a CB. I'm with Gallup. I'm with Trey Gallup. Look, I say this often, and I'm gonna keep saying it. I never was on board in bringing Michael Gallup back, especially paying him 12, 13 mil. I was never with that. And you can see, all in all, Michael Gallup, like, for some reason, Michael Gallup is like the number one wide receiver in Dak's eyes. We know that he's not the number one wide receiver for the team, but in Dak's eyes, he's number one. And you seen that clear as day yesterday. And it's like every time you go his way, don't nothing too good happens of throwing him the ball, especially these past 2-3 years. Right? It's either a potential pick, a drop, miscommunication. And if you're so comfortable with Michael Gallup and and y'all not on the same page like that, then what's going on? Now I seen something, and I'm gonna tell y'all like this. I seen the Raiders was I guess thinking about trading Hunter Renfro. I think he will be perfect for this team. I think he will be perfect for this team. Somebody that can win in close space, that's somebody that can go ahead and get up and quick like a Cole Beasley. I think that will be perfect for him. And especially it'll be perfect to complement CD and Cooks, because we're going to get in that too. Because I like how they tried to implement Cooks more, but he don't get the ball still enough. He don't get the ball enough. He doesn't get the ball enough, and that's ridiculous. Like the inefficiency of the Dak connection to Michael Gallup was crazy. Like, what? Michael Gallup had like 7, 8 targets and like what, 1 or 2 catches. That's a horrible catch to target ratio. That's horrible. Right. You throw it to Tolbert, because I believe Tolbert, if Tolbert was given them type of um attempts, targets, I believe Tolbert would have did more with that. For Renfro, yes, I'm telling you, I think Renfro, I think he'll be perfect for this team. I really do, and I think they should consider that, because, like I say, like, even though they talking about, oh, we need to go back to 2016 Dak. 2016 Dak had the type of wide receivers, the targets that was perfect for him. Had a Dez, had a Jason Witten, who was the real 7-11. Had Cole Beasley, who he was comfortable with. right? Who was gonna get open quick. Where even with his inability to read the defense, at a level of a $50 million quarterback is not there. He didn't have to do that because Cole Beasley and Jason Witten was always open and was comfortable for him. All he had to do was just throw it to him. They're gonna be there. Shoot, you could rely on that, you know. And there's sometimes where I think that he should throw it up to CD Lamb. Just throw it up. He gonna get it. But for some reason, Dak is just he don't want to do that. Because there was one time, I believe it was in the red zone or close to the red zone. CD Lamb, what did he run? It wasn't a flag route. No, it wasn't a flag route. But it was I forgot what route he ran, but it was a route towards the sideline. And, dude was up top, but I think that if he would have threw that ball up, I think CD would have nabbed that. Because, it's kind of like with Dez and Tony. Hey, look, Tony sometimes, even when Dez was covered, he'll throw it to a spot where Dez can't get the ball, and he trusts that Dez will go come get that ball. And you need to do that with 88. Because 88 has that ability, but you'll never know unless you go ahead and put him in them type of predicaments. And for Dak to not do that's ridiculous, especially when you are not reading the field the way that you should read the field, and you're not making decisions the way that you should sometimes quick enough. Just throwing the ball will go ahead and help this offense tremendously. And especially if Gallup is supposed to be that type of guy too, how are you not going ahead and throw the ball? You see what happened when he did that with Cooks? Cooks used all 5'10" of himself and jumped up to go get that ball. That's the same thing you need to go ahead and do with your 6'2" wide receivers. Your wide receivers is 6'2". And you telling me that you not comfortable enough to throw it up to your 6'2" wide receivers? Come on, man. Come on. That got to do better than that. But what I wanted to address was, one, defense need to clean up this tackling. That tackling, horrible. The penalties from both sides, horrible, sloppy. Now, I started listening to what Jerry was saying. I didn't finish it, but Jerry addressed that as well. Sloppy football. And there was one sack that Khalil Mack had on Tyron that, to be honest with you, it ain't really Tyron's fault. And I'm going to tell you why. Because Dak, sometimes a quarterback got to see what's going on, got to have that feel, and Dak don't really have that pocket feel the way that he should. And if Dak would have just stepped up early, he either would have had a nice little chunk run, or he could have, had an opportunity to maybe push it downfield. But because he stayed in that pocket, what Dak problem is, he knows that his offense got talent, his offensive line got talent, so he stays in that pocket just like, all right, they got it. I ain't got to really do too much movement unless I feel it, unless I see it, but they got it. They got me. And he just stays in there, and sometimes he's like a sitting duck when he shouldn't be. Sometimes you got to go ahead and have some movement and help out your linemen. And a lot of the times on some of them penalties, whether it be with him just moving out the pocket and they don't know, because I'm going to tell you what, I made this statement when I was watching the game. I don't think them linemen was used to him moving the way that he did yesterday. I think they was used to Dak playing quarterback a certain way of being a hitting target and not moving too much. And I think they wasn't used to that. So I think it kind of threw them off. And that's why you got a couple of them holes, especially one on Tyler Schmidt. I think they wasn't used to him moving like that. I don't think nobody really talking about that, but I think that was part of the reason. Now there's some that was sloppy, but I think that was part of the reason as well. But they definitely need to go ahead and clean that up. Also, especially early on, these RPOs and just forcing Dak to run in general. I think that Mike McCarthy, if he's going to continue to call these plays, or whoever may take on in the future, needs to put Dak in a position where he has to run the ball. You need to force him to run the ball, right? Now, I heard his little interview yesterday after the game talking about, maybe kind of like he doubted, like, I'm making a cautious effort to go ahead and take off more. Look, Dak, that is your game. You need to start playing within your game. You need to run more. You're gonna be all right, right? Whatever happens, gonna happen. If something was to happen, hope that it doesn't happen. But something that can happen to you possibly in the pocket too. I think the pocket may be a little bit more dangerous than you just taking off. So you have the ability to be able to protect yourself to a certain degree, but in that pocket, sometimes you don't see what's coming, and then be the ones that's hurt. You know, you're messing around in boxing, right? They said the ones that you don't see hurt the most. And that could be that could be the same thing when it comes down to them hits in the pocket. So look, that you need to go ahead and play the game that we know that you need to play so we can have our best chance of winning. It's running the damn ball more. Because when they run, teams don't really expect Dak to really run like that. They know that he's the threat for that. But him going ahead and pulling that read option for that touchdown, that caught them by off guard. They were like, oh, shoot. We know he can do it, but dang, he did it. You know, Kellen Moore, you know, because Kellen Moore tell him, like, man, he don't want to run. And when he did it, they're like, oh, he willing to do that again? So that probably caught them by off guard. That's why he has so much love. But that's the type of tactics the team need. See, look, I'm gonna tell you something about that Teflon. Let me tell you something about Dak real quick, right? Before we continue. Look, we know that Dak, when it comes down to reading his defense, it ain't gonna be the best. We know that some of his decisions is gonna be very slow. We know he's gonna second guess himself, and even when he second guesses himself, he's gonna make a bonehead throw like what he did going toward Gallup, right? But let me tell you something. All we asking for with Dak is to mess around, right? No matter what happened, just the certain type of plays that you need to make them. Like he made some of them plays last game, right? Last night, right? The play to Cooks, right? A little run, getting out. This, if you use your legs and just make the certain type of plays that we need, we're fine with that, right? Even though like, that's us lowering our expectations for you, Dak. That's us lowering our expectations, even though we should have higher, especially how you're getting paid. Look, just make the plays that you need to make when it matters the most, and we'll be fine with that. That's not asking him to do anything that he cannot do. He can do that. So just make the plays, right? Whether it be with your legs or you just or whatever the case may be, just make the play. Right? See, with this offense, even with him being able to, even with his inability to really read the defenses the way that he should, his legs can offset that. It won't hurt us as much because he's using his legs. And that'll go ahead and get the defense to think and start going ahead and reacting differently. And that probably will open up some more things for somebody like Cooks, for somebody like CD. If he just use his legs, that'll go ahead and keep the defense off the field, because the defense, especially in that third quarter, even though partly was their fault, they was on that field for quite too long. And the defense, the way that we got, that can break you down some, right? We were just lucky that we was going against the Chargers, we're going to be honest with, because there was opportunities where they could have went on ahead and executed, but their execution was very poor too, right? And we was lucky that we was going against what we had, which was Kellen Moore. But yeah, like a better team would have beat our ass last night, y'all. A better team would have took advantage of all the mistakes that we had and damn near could have blew you out again. I'll be honest with you. That game wasn't the cleanest. It wasn't the cleanest. I'm with you too. I hope Dak has figured out when he runs off facts. I think this new online is trash because our running game. Oh, speaking of that, that was in my notes as well. This offensive line last night, especially, they were getting no push in the run game. Now, I know we made our statements regarding TP, but that offensive line last night was horrific in the run game. It was very poor. No push. And I mean no push from nobody. Nobody. And we done went against some physical defenses and was able to. So I don't know what was going on last night, because it wasn't just because you're going against Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack, Nick Williams, and company. It wasn't because of that. especially not with our offensive line, not with our Pro Bowl offensive line that should be. It was horrific. And they got to clean that up, like the penalties. And speaking of the offensive line, Terrence Steele, I don't know what's going on with him. I don't know if he's not all the way back, but Terrence Steele been getting his ass whooped lately. I seen, I don't know if it was Bosa or somebody else, but somebody did that boy greasy and and put him on his pockets. And I'm talking about not his side pockets, but his back pockets. Somebody did that boy greasy. I'm like, Terrence Steele though, because Terrence Steele strong, especially in the run game. And it's like, look, they say that this team is more fitted. Now, look, pass blocking wise, when I watched the game again, pass blocking wise was good. It was good enough, right? It was good. But run blocking was horrific. Now I'm gonna tell you like this: if we got Zach Martin, Terrence Steele, who run blocking should be his best attribute, and then you got Tyler Smith and Tyron Smith, how are we not knocking these boys off the line? That's my thing. Now, like I said, I'm not taking away anything because their defensive line is good, very good, right? As a whole, that unit is good. But still, you should have been able to go ahead and find and get some type of holes for TP to run because TP needs some holes. TP can't get them 30 yards. And if your running game is gonna be like this, then you're gonna need a running back that's gonna go ahead and get them 30 yards when it's tough running and your offense line ain't getting no push. Because there's certain times that TP didn't get nothing that a better running back that had better vision, that's a real running back, could have got you about a couple more yards out of that. And I think that with a real running back, I think that this offensive line will really feed off of that. And it'll really give a spark to this offense and really help out Dak. Because, look, part of, like I said, even though we talk about the weapons and the offensive line that Dak, but part of what Dak had that made him successful, especially in that 2016 year, was what? Guess what? Ezekiel Elliott being fresh and being who he was. And we had that running game that was dominant, so Dak can do what he do, right? And right now we don't have that. So, so if we're gonna go ahead and babysit Dak, we gotta babysit Dak in the way that 2016 did, which was going ahead and running that ball. Or then we gave Zeke the ball 20 plus times. We gonna lean on you, right? We gonna lean on you. So you need to, so this team needs to acquire a running back that you can do the same and put TP. I know you're paying TP 10 mil, but you now got to go ahead and put TP back in his place like he did last year, because TP is not no every down running back. Not saying that you don't run TP and don't get TP his touches, but TP is not that guy. So if you got to trade TP, I'm fine with that too. And just bring Deuce Vaughn and them along, I'm fine with that too. Because eventually Deuce Vaughn is going to go ahead and take over this backup running back in the future anyway. You know what's crazy though, Teflon? Let's use, and it's crazy because every time that we use, for example, we use this team, the Niners, with that fullback they got. You see how they're using. They'll hand him the ball some games. They'll throw him the ball some games. Like they'll use him in ways uh, that that with the fullback position to be extinct, like they did back in the day. And they use a fullback, and he's big on the offense. Even if he doesn't have a statistical game, he still has a presence that you have to account for. And with somebody that we got with Lukey, and we don't make these teams respect his presence because he has some ability. He can run with some lean, right? He can go ahead and catch the ball at the backfield. He blocks, special teams, you name it. You can do a whole bunch of things with Hunter. So that's a weapon that's not being utilized the way that it should. And out of all the coaches that we got, I would expect somebody like Mike McCarthy to understand this, because he had the same type with John Kuhn over there in Green Bay. So for him not to go ahead and understand what you got, like if you look, I'm gonna tell you something. In the passing game, it should go like this. Your top three weapons should be CD, Cooks, and Ferguson. Them should be the top 3 targets out of everything. And Gallup, Tolbert, and anybody else, they are leftovers. They get the leftovers. And for you going ahead, see, it's crazy how inefficient Gallup was, but it's crazy how efficient CD Lamb was. You see the difference. And you see how Cooks in the game where individuals in the game where they had good safety play, especially with Derwin James, because Derwin James is a safety that has been banged up, but when he's on the field, you could probably say that he's the best, to be honest with you, because that's a bad boy. But let's be honest, Gallup he's not fitting right now. And we already took that comfort zone. And I believe that if you take Gallup away from the equation, that'll make Dak go ahead and do some things that we've been wanting him to do, but he will have to do now. It's like you got to force Dak hands for him to make the proper decisions. You got to call runs for Dak to run. You got to take certain things away and add certain things in to get Dak to do what he wants to, because he's not going to go ahead and do it in the game, especially consistently. So it's like, if you're going to babysit him, you got to learn how to babysit him effectively. And we're not babysitting him effectively. There's certain times where you got to let him go and let him push that ball downfield. And there's certain times where you got to scale him back. And it's up to Mike McCarthy to go ahead to understand that and do that. So we got to put blame on Mike McCarthy for not going ahead and knowing how to babysit Dak Prescott effectively. The way that, because he needs to babysit him effectively, because he's not doing that. But also, speaking of the offensive line, I'm gonna tell you what is unacceptable. That fourth and one where we was trying to do that QB sneak. How did we got a 240-pound quarterback with an offensive line the way we got, and we can't get a yard on the Chargers? That was pathetic. That was real life pathetic. Pathetic. And that's unacceptable for a team with high expectations to not get a yard. They talking about, the Eagles. Man, that ain't. Look, if I got a 240-pound supposed to be bulldozer, I expect to get that. And so they need to go ahead and reconsider, and they need to go ahead and look themselves in the mirror. Look, is we tough or is we not? That's what they need to look at. Bright spot. Yeah, I mean, Marquise Bell, I just wish Marquise Bell was 230 pounds, because if Marquise Bell was 230 pounds, man, we'll have ourselves a linebacker on our hands. But because he's so wiry and small, it's just sometimes he hurt us. But he's your most aggressive at that position, though. Out of all your linebackers on that field, he's your most aggressive. When he see it, he gonna go, and that's what I like about him. But he's just small. If I gave him like Damone Clark body, if I gave him like Leighton Van Der Esch body, oh man, shit, yeah, you'll have you a stud at backer with Marquise. But that's what's, you know what I mean? And it ain't like that in the past you couldn't add certain type of weight to safeties and got them bigger though. But I don't know if that would affect him a lot, especially with his frame of all that weight being added to his frame. I don't know if that'll really slow him down. It's possible. I have to really look at him and see how much he really can hold, because it might just affect like somebody like Curse. He can't have that weight on him, but maybe Marquise can. We'll see. But also, I wanted to talk about Micah Parsons. So, look, I acknowledge that Michael Parsons made that play, and that's what I want for somebody that's supposed to be my best on his defense and pretty much the best on his team to do, right? Big time players make big time plays in big games. I'm cool. That's what you're supposed to do, and I'm with that, right? But let me tell y'all something. Because as I was watching that game, I seen a player that was disinterested at times. I seen a player that didn't give me effort all the time at times. Now I know somebody gonna be like, but some that play was away from him. There's been plenty of times where that play has been away from him. Micah chased it down, and somebody like Micah could chase it down. Micah still is moving in a selfish manner and still moving as far as I want mine and I don't care about nothing else but getting mine. Look, if that's your mindset, cool. But your effort and your ability to stop the run needs to be there. If you about you, all right, cool. I guess that's cool. Uh, you know, because if you going ahead and putting them results in the way that this team needs from a player of your caliber, then if you stopping the run and you showing up when it matters, then it is what it is, right? You know what I mean. But because you out here talking the talk the way that you talking, I heard he said something again on Bleacher Report today. I don't know what it was, but I heard he done said something else. But because you talking the talk the way that you talk the talk, your play in all phases of the game needs to improve. The only thing that I see right now, elite, in what Michael Parsons is doing is his ability to come forward and bring pressure on the quarterback. Now they're gonna say, "Oh, Michael Parsons had these pressures. Oh, he was yes," because as I say over and over again, somebody like Michael Parsons is something special when it comes to being athletically gifted. He's strong, fast, and he's just gifted. So that's like he can get out the bed and do that, right? That's but real greatness. And the reason why I'm on him because you're not a rookie no more. You're not a second year. This is your third year, right? You should be in it. It only took 8 games for DeMarcus Ware to catch fire, right? I believe it was like a game against the Panthers. I believe it was like on a Thursday or a Saturday night. DeMarcus Ware caught fire. You've been on fire since you've been in the league. First year, we give you that. It's your time to go ahead, and get acquainted. Second year, I give you that. But third year, you need to be doing more than what you're doing. See, everything ain't about chasing a statistic. And if he focused on doing his job instead of going there and thinking that he's Superman, then the plays will come to him. 20 sacks will come to him. You see, a lot of people ain't going ahead and looking for 20 sacks. 20 sacks just came. DeMarcus Ware, even though I'm pretty sure he loved to get to the QB, he wasn't talking about, I'm looking for 20 sacks. The sacks came to DeMarcus Ware because he did what he was supposed to do. So the plays came to him. Micah is forcing certain things that he shouldn't be forcing. Micah, in an effort that it should be had on a more consistent basis, he's not giving that to me. His run game, as far as stopping the run on a consistent basis, is still poor. Now, I seen there was a play one time where he was at linebacker, he got out the block and he made the play. That's what we need. That's what I would like for him to be in. That's what type of positions that I want him to be in. I don't want him rushing time after time. Look, if Dan Quinn using the way that he should, then 20 sacks ain't gonna be an option for him. 20 sacks will not be an option for him if Dan Quinn uses him the way that he's supposed to use. What do you value more? Do you value either 20 sacks or do you value a Super Bowl ring? Because you've been talking like you're gonna bring a Super Bowl ring to Dallas. So if that's the case, then if you talk about you're gonna bring a Super Bowl ring to Dallas, then all them great Dallas pass rushers, they stopping to run. You grew up run first. You play run to pass. DeMarcus Ware, run. Haley, run. Lawrence, run. Gotta stop the run. And the cool thing about it is, even though he's not built like no end to be able to handle that pounding that position provides, he can still like flourish there. But it's just at times. See, the cool thing, right, is he can still get a sack or two a game and still play linebacker. By him, see, if he want it truly, if 20 sacks was really on his agenda, then he should want to play linebacker because you're coming from different ways, like you did your freshman year, your first year in the league. You're coming from different ways. You're coming from at linebacker. You're coming in inside. You're lined up at three tech. You're lined up at end. You're everywhere that they can't account for you, and you're able to go ahead and always be on the weaker link, especially when it's time to go ahead and be in third and long situations, especially when it's time like last night to go ahead and close the game. And when you able to, and when Dan Quinn put you in a position and we being solid against the run, whether the team is putting pressure on us or not, then that's how you can get your sack or two a game. It's chess, not checkers. Stop playing checkers and really go ahead and just let the game come to you. Put that effort in because your whole offseason work, I'm looking at your body and I'm looking at your mentality. Your whole offseason work was pass rush or nothing. That can't be the case. Got to do better. Got to do better, especially if this is. And the cool thing about it is, this is your leader like this. So this is your leader. This is who they're relying on to go ahead and lead, not only by example but with his mouth. I honestly think that they should need to bring some more vets in. So, like I said, he could have somebody to look up to because right now on this team, he has nobody he looks up to. He has nobody that's setting him a standard on what it is to go ahead. Now, and the cool thing about it is, even though somebody is playing ball, which is DeMarcus Lawrence, for some reason, I'm telling you, he don't respect him in that matter. And DeMarcus Lawrence has been balling. He has. He hasn't been getting talked about like Micah and everybody else, but DeMarcus Lawrence has been balling this year. Gotta give it to him. He's went on ahead and fixed some issues that he had, which was being all pass like he was, and he went right back to his roots, and he's being solid in that run game. And he's making noise and getting pressure in the passing game. And I'm gonna keep it real. They talk about Michael Parsons' effect, but if you was to lose somebody like Lawrence, you'll really feel it. You'll really feel it. Lawrence is also one of the most important pieces on his defense that ain't being talked about enough. Once upon a time, he was your first, last, and your everything when it came down to getting to the quarterback. So they can't forget about Law, because Law is very important to this defense. More important than what people realize. So Micah could go ahead and get the fame and the glory. But a lot of this is going because Law is out there doing damage. Osa is out there doing damage. That's why he gets a lot of what he gets. So they better not. So they better remember when they talk about that. You better remember that. But anywho, y'all, I just wanted to go ahead and talk about that. I just wanted to come here and tell y'all about my findings. I'm getting ready to look at that all 22 and really see what was going on. But anywho, appreciate y'all for coming through once again. Until next time, y'all.